All right, so we're moving right along. We are going to cover the next topic in Create Simple Shell Scripts to automate common tasks with common script utilities. So I don't know if you've heard of awk, but awk is a scripting language. Scripting language is used to process data and generate reports. AWK, awk. So this command programming language does not require any compilation. On the other hand, it allows the user to use variables, numeric functions, string functions, as well as logical operators. awk is a find and replace utility that allows programmers to write small but effective programs in the form of statements on each line of a document that describe the text patterns to search for and the action to take when a match gets found. awk is pretty much mostly used for pattern scanning and processing. It searches one or more files to see if they contain lines that match the specified patterns and then perform those associated actions. So then, what is all that? What are these operations that we can do with awk? Well, I suppose to answer this question, we could scan a file line by line, split each input line into fields, compare the input line or lines with patterns, and perform actions on the matching line or lines. All right, so awk is also very useful for converting data files and generating formatted reports. Why didn't you say so at first? Well, from a programming logic perspective, you can format output lines, perform arithmetic and array operations, as well as using conditions and loops. Yeah, we're getting deeper. awk's syntax goes like this. awk options, single quote, selection underscore criteria, open curly brackets, action, close curly brackets, single quote, input dash file, right angle bracket, output dash file. Ooh, there's options in awk. Yes, of course. The dash F program dash file. We use this to read the awk program source from the program file instead of from the first command line argument. Okay. Dash capital F, FS, is used for the input field separator. All right, and this brings us to the sed command. The sed command in Unix, just like awk, stands for stream editor, and it can perform many functions on the file. That's just like awk, such as searching, finding, and replacing, adding, deleting. Now, although the general purpose of this command is for substitution or finding and replacing, I mentioned that using sed, you can edit files without even opening them. You can imagine that finding and replacing something in a file would be a lot slower and way more inefficient than replacing it before you even ever open it. But you got to be careful. Duh. Okay, so let's just say again that sed is a very powerful text flow editor. You can add, you can delete, you can search, you can replace, or even substitute. Okay? You don't take that responsibility lightly, my friends. All right, let's get to the syntax for the sed command. It goes like this. Sed, single quote, S / Unix / Linux / single quote, Linux underscore trainer.txt. All right. Now we're going to continue with the find command. Find command, obviously, is a command line utility, and it's used to examine a file hierarchy. Now, we can use it to find and perform operations on files and directories. It supports searching by file, folder, name, creation date, modification date, owner, permissions, and just by using the -exec, other Unix commands can be executed in files or folders that will also exist. So the syntax of the command goes like this. Find, and in square brackets, where to start searching from, and in square brackets, expression determines what to find, and in square brackets, -options, and in square brackets, what to find. Okay, so let's talk about some of the command options. Let's just go through them one by one. dash exec cmd. So the file that's being searched, which meets the criteria and returns 0 for its exit status for successful command execution. Dash OK cmd works the same way as dash exec, but the difference is the user is prompted first. Dash inum-n, this will mean searching for files with inode number n. Dash links-n, this is going to search for files with n links. Dash name demo, this is going to search for files that are specified by demo. Dash newer file, this will search for files that were modified or created after file. Dash perm octal, now this means it's going to search for the file if permission is octal. Dash print is going to display the path name of the files found by using the rest of the criteria. Dash empty, well, this is going to search for empty fields, files, and directories. Dash size plus n slash dash n means search for files of n blocks. N followed by C can be used to measure the size in characters. Plus n means size. Right angle bracket n, blocks, and dash n or minus n means size. Left angle bracket, n blocks. Dash username, well, this is going to search for files owned by username or ID name. Backslash, open parenthesis, expr, backslash, close parenthesis, means true if expr is true, and this is used for grouping criteria combined with or and. Those are the operators. Bang expr. So this is going to mean true if expr is false. So if you want to search a file with a specific name and in a specific directory, just use this find dot / in square brackets directory underscore name, close square brackets, dash name, open square brackets, file underscore name, close square brackets. So this will search for file underscore name in directory underscore name as the directory. Now, if you want to search a file with a pattern, you can use this command set, find dot / in square brackets directory underscore name, dash name star.txt. And then this is going to search for all the files in the directory underscore name directory, which have the .txt file extension. Now, if you want to search for empty files and directories, you can use this command set, find dot / in square brackets directory underscore name, dash empty. And this command is going to find all empty folders and files in the entered directory or subdirectory. So moving right along, we'll continue with xargs command. So the xargs command, it's a Unix command, but it can be used to create and execute commands from standard input, for example, a txt file. So some commands like grep can accept input as parameters, but xargs accepts arguments. So the syntax for this command is xargs in square brackets options in square brackets command. So before we move ahead with this, I want to show you some of the command's options. -0. This is going to mean that input items are terminated with a null character instead of a space. -a file means read items from the file instead of standard input. -delimiter equals limit means input elements are terminated with a special character. -E, EOF-STR means set the end of the string file to EOF-STR. -L replace-STR means replace occurrences of replace-STR in first arguments with names read from the standard input. -L maximum lines. This is going to mean using a maximum of non-blank input lines per command line. -P, This is going to ask the user whether to run each command line and read a line from the terminal. -R means do not run the command if the standard input does not contain spaces. -X is going to mean output if the size is exceeded. -Help means print a summary of options to xargs and exit. -Version, well, this will print the version number of .xargs and exit. All right, so let's get into the command usage with these options. So if you want to display the contents of a file, you can just use xargs-a file_name.txt. If you want to prompt for a confirmation before running each command line, well, you can use xargs-p-a filename_.txt. So this is only going to run the command line if the response starts with Y or capital Y. All right, so moving right along, we'll continue with egrep. So the egrep command, as the name would suggest, is a pattern search command, and this belongs to the grep family of functions. It performs the same task as grep-E. It's going to print the lines that match the pattern. If there are several files with a matching pattern, it's going to also display the file names for each line. So the syntax of the command goes like this: egrep, in square brackets options, in single quotes, pattern, files. So my question, or your question might be, why use egrep when grep-E is available? Well, the egrep command treats meta characters as they are and quickly performs a complete search. Keep that in mind. Okay. That brings us to the T command. So the T command, this gets used when it's necessary to read the input and output at the same time, or to write the same output to a file. So this command reads standard input and can write to both standard output and one or more files. It basically cuts the output of a program so it can be both viewed and saved to a file, right? So it's doing both tasks at the same time, right? Copies the result to the specified files or variables and displays the result. So the syntax of this T command goes like this: T, in square brackets, option, file. So here you have a file named linux_trainer.txt. And let's say that you want to find out the number of characters in your file and save the output to a new text file. So you're going to be able to do both operations at the same time. And the command set's going to look like this: wc-l linux_trainer.txt, pipe t new_file.txt. And you see, as a result, you're going to have that output both on the screen and in the new_file.txt. All right, so we're going to continue now with the WC command. All right, no jokes here. WC stands for word count. All right. So, as the name suggests, it's mainly used for counting words. Now, in our previous application, we used it together with a T command. You might have seen that. The script gets used to find the number of lines, words, bytes, and characters in files specified in the file arguments. Not just for words anymore. So it's going to display a 4-column output. The first column shows the number of lines found in the specified line. The second column, the number of words in the file, and the third column is the number of characters in the file. This fourth column is the file name given as argument. So the syntax of the command goes like this: WC in square brackets options and square brackets file. So I want to consider a couple of files having this name state.txt and capital.txt, containing 5 names of the states and capitals respectively. So let's do a couple of sample applications of this WC command. So let's say you want to count all files and folders present in a directory. Well, you can use ls in square brackets directory underscore name square brackets pipe wc-l for the command set. So with this -l option, the command shows the count of all files and folders present in the current directory. Now, let's say you want to display the word count only of a file. You can use wc-w linux underscore trainer.txt. See, so that command is going to show you two columnar outputs. So one is the count of words, the other is the file name. All right, that's how that works. So I want to continue on with this tr command. So in Linux, another command line utility is tr, or the tr command. The tasks will include a number of conversions, such as translating characters like uppercase to lowercase, squeezing duplicate characters, deleting certain characters, and some basic find and replace processes thrown in for a bonus. All right, so the syntax of the command goes like this: tr in square brackets option, set 1 in square brackets set 2. So you want to talk about options, huh? -c is going to mean to complete the character set in the string. That is, operations are applied to characters not in the given set. -d means to remove characters from the first set of the output. -s is going to mean to replace duplicate characters listed in set 1 with a single occurrence. -t just means to shorten set 1. So let's say you want to convert from lowercase to uppercase the content of a file. You can use the cat new underscore file pipe tr, open double quote, in square brackets A through Z or A-Z, close square brackets, double quote, open square bracket, capital A dash, capital Z, close square brackets, double quotes. Or you can use this one as well, cat new underscore file pipe tr, double quotes, open square brackets, colon lower colon, close square brackets, double quote, open square brackets, colon upper colon, close square brackets, double quotes. Moving right along, we've got the head command. So obviously it's a complement to the tail command. The head command, as the name would imply, prints the top n number of data of the given output. Now, by default, it's going to print the first 10 lines of the specified files. So if more than one file name is provided, then data from each file is preceded by its file name. All right, so the syntax of this command goes like this: head, open square brackets, option, close square brackets, and in square brackets file. So this command will display only the first 10 lines of the file specified without any options. For example, head linux underscore trainer.txt. I mentioned there's a few different options to this command. We'll have a look. -n num, this is going to mean to print the first num lines instead of the first 10 lines, right? So num is mandatory to be specified in the command. Otherwise, it's going to give you an error. Okay, so for example, -n5 new underscore file.txt, you can see the first 5 lines. -cnum means to print the first num bytes from the file selected. So new line count as a single character. So if the head prints out a new line, it's going to count it as a byte. Num is also here a mandatory specification in the command. Otherwise, it's going to give you an error. All right, so for example, head-c8 new underscore file.txt, you'll only see the first 8 characters. -q is used if more than one file is given. All right, so this command ensures that file names are not displayed before the data. Now, if you use head linux underscore trainer.txt new underscore file.txt as your command set, you're going to see the file name before the contents. You see that, right? But if you use head-q linux_trainer.txt new_file.txt command set, you're not going to be able to see that file name for the contents. All right, so that's how that works. So we'll continue with the tail command. Obviously, it complements the head command. I gave that to you previously, but this tail command has a couple of things unlike the head command. See, it prints the last n lines of the given input. Now, by default, it's going to print the last 10 lines of the specified files. If multiple file names are provided, well, data from each file will precede the file name. So the syntax of the command looks like this: tail in square brackets option in square brackets file. Now, if you use it without any options, it's, like I said, going to display only the last 10 lines of the specified file. In addition, its options are similar to the head command. So some of those options will be -n num, -c num, -q, -f, and it goes on, okay?